In this video, I'm going to explain pseudo-classes. This is something that we're learning in the Chapter 8 in the table chapter because we're using pseudo-classes to give different colors to different rows and cells in your table. Now, what a pseudo-class can do is that it can treat different rows or columns or paragraphs or block quotes differently. It can style them differently according to which one is first, second, third, or fourth. So if you want only the first paragraph in a certain area to have a background color, then you can use a pseudo-class. Now the pseudo-classes include child and type. So let me see if I can show you how that works. So I'm going to begin with type. Now I have here a page, and I have in the page 5 paragraphs and 2 block quotes. Here is one of my paragraphs, second paragraph. Here is my first block quote. Here's my my third paragraph. Here's my fourth paragraph. Here's my my second block quote, and then this one here is my last or fifth paragraph. I've given all of these a red outline so that you can see them. Here is a paragraph, paragraph, block quote, paragraph, paragraph, block quote, and then a paragraph. You'll notice that I've given them titles. Each of them is called a child. Now, if you remember from the idea of parents and children in HTML, a parent is something that encloses or holds other tags. A child is something that's inside another tag. In this case, the body is the parent, and the paragraphs and block quotes are the children of the body. But let's begin with type, because type is a little bit easier to understand. So I'm going to say P, and then just like the pseudo elements that we used before, like hover and so forth, we use a colon here. And I'm going to say P colon, and I'm going to say first of type. There we go. Notice that that Komodo edit didn't help me with that. All right, so for the first of type, for the paragraph, I'm going to make the background color pink, just like that. So what's going to happen? Well, let's take a look, and here we go. The first paragraph became pink. Now let's try a similar thing for the first block quote. So I'm going to go again for a block quote, and this time I'm going to say also first of type. Oh, here we get some help. Okay, that's nice. And I'm going to make the background color for that, let's say light blue. And so now, what do we see? We see the first block quote becomes light blue. So when we have first of type, that means it's the first tag of its type, the first paragraph or the first block quote. So the first paragraph got a pink background, and the first block quote got a blue background. Now, we can also change the first and make it into last. So if I change the paragraph into last of type, instead of the first paragraph being pink, I can change it so the last paragraph is pink. Same thing with the block quote. I can go ahead and change that to last of type. And once again, it changes, the last block quote changes to that. Now, if I go ahead and if I add a new block quote at the end, and this one will be block quote number 3, and it'll be child number 8. Now that one gets blue. So the first and last of type basically find the first paragraph or block quote or whatever it is that you've given the pseudo class to, and it gives it that style, but only the first one or only the last one. So I'm going to take these away. And now we're going to try something different. Now we're going to try to use first child and last child. So let me start out by doing it with the P. And I'm going to go P and first child. And I'm going to give that a background color. Excuse me. background color of, let's say, green. This will be kind of bright, but let's see how it works. And there we go. The first paragraph became green, just like that. Now, let's say I try to do that for the block quote. I'm going to say block quote and first child, and I'm going to give that a background color of green. So if I do that, then nothing happens. Why doesn't anything happen? Well, that's because the block quote is not the first child. The first child is a paragraph right here. The first block quote is the third child, actually. So if you say first child, in this case, the only thing that can be affected is the paragraph. Now, if we do last child, block quote will work. So let's go ahead and say, instead of first child, let's say last child. And now that last block quote turns green because it is the last child in the body. Similarly, if we change the block quote to a P and said P last child, nothing will happen because a paragraph is not the last child in the body. So that's the first child, last child, first of type, last of type. But there's another thing that we can do, and it's called nth. I'm going to start with type, and I'm going to say nth of type. Now, this is the nth of type for paragraph. So what this means is that instead of just the first or the last, we can set the color of the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, etc., etc. So what I can do here for the nth of type is say, for example, that maybe the second nth of type of paragraph will have a background color. Let's make it yellow. And that means that only the second paragraph in all of the body will have a yellow background. And sure enough, there it is. I could change that by changing the number. I could change it to, let's say, 5. And now the fifth paragraph will have a yellow background. Or I could say, for example, the third one will have a yellow background. Notice that's the third paragraph, not the third child. I could do the same thing for the nth of child. Let's see, or the nth child, not of. So nth child, 3. Now this will only work if a paragraph is the third child. But you can see that the block quote is, and so that won't work. But if I say nth child and then 4, well, a paragraph is the fourth child, and so now that will become yellow. So that's a way that you can specifically color any kind of type or child tag inside an area according to what number it is in the order. Now I'm going to go back and make this nth of type, and we're going to try something else. We're going to say not just 2. If I just say 2, then only the second paragraph will be colored. But what we're going to do is that we're going to say 2n. Now what does this mean? Well, this means every second paragraph will have a yellow background color. So if we take a look at this, we'll see that now number 2 and number 4 have a yellow color. And if I were to add a sixth paragraph, let's do it down here. It's going to be child number 9 and paragraph number 6. That one will also have a yellow background because that is the second, fourth, and sixth paragraph. However, if I set it so that it says 3n, then every third paragraph will have that color. And now we see number 3 and number 6 have that color. It's skipping the block quotes because I just said of type, not child. Now, let me just get rid of all the block quotes here. And there we go. And let me renumber these children here, 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And I'm going to do that because I'm going to make a whole bunch of paragraphs. I'm going to copy all of these and paste, paste, paste. And now you can see we have every third one. So once again, I'm going to say 2n, and that'll make every second one. I'm going to say 3n, and that's going to get every third one. And then 4n, and that'll get every fourth one, so forth and so on. So what if I want this kind of coloring every fourth paragraph, but I want it to have, I want to begin with the first one. That means I want to push the yellow down by 1. So what I can do is that I can say, well, let's do 4n plus 1. All right, so that means that now it'll be every fourth paragraph, but it'll be pushed back by 1 row every time. So now I start here instead of on number 4. I can do the same thing and say plus 2, and that'll push it back 1 more each time, and now it starts on 2, and then goes to 6, and then goes to 10, and so forth and so on. And I can keep on doing this as many times as I want. I can say plus 3, and now it starts on number 3. I could also say negative. I could say minus 2, for example, and that would have the same effect. It would push it the other direction. So by putting plus or minus numbers after the number n, I can say where exactly the color will begin, on the first one, the second one, the third one, so forth and so on. Now, nth-child works exactly the same way, except again, it has to be that child within the container and not just the type within the container. But we very rarely do nth-child. Very usually we'll do nth-of-type. Now, how does this affect tables? Because we've been learning about tables. Well, let me go back to the table that we were making. I added some more rows here. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take the TRs in the T body only, and I'm going to add an nth of type. There we go. And I'm going to say 2n, so it'll be every second table row in the T body. And I'm going to say background color, and I'm going to make it RGB. And let's try 230 to 40 and 255. That'll be a light blue color. And now when we check it out, we can see that I've got light blue every other row. Now this includes the table header row. So if I tried to push this back or forward by 1, then the table header row would be blue, and I don't want that. But for right now, it's working great. What if I want 3 different colors, though? Well, I could go in and I could say, first of all, this would be 3n, and that means that every third row will be blue. But now I want some of these to be red as well. So I'm going to do that, let's say, to the second one. So I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to select and copy and paste this nth of type that I did before. And I'm going to keep the 3n. The 3n is important because I want it to be every third row again. But this time, for one of them, I'm going to put a -1. I could do a +1 if I wanted. And I'm going to change the color to more of a pinkish color. And so let's bring it down to 240 on both of these, and that's more of a pinkish color. I could probably make it a little bit darker. Let's try 230, and yeah, that works a little bit better. And so now, because I made one of them 3n -1, that means the one before the blue one, every third one, will be pink. And so now see, I have that. So I have pink, blue, and white, pink, blue, white, etc., etc. Now, what if I want the pink to be the first one? I'm going to change that to be 3n +1. But now you see I have the problem that I've made my table headers pink, and I don't really want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this again. I'm going to say this is +2, and this is +1. See what happens then. And now you can see they've rotated, but now I've got a blue one here in my table headers. How do I get rid of that blue if I want to get rid of it? Well, it's very simple. All I have to do is go into my TH. I can make a rule for TH, and I can say background color and make it white. And that will override the T body. And now I have red, white, blue, just like that. I can then take these ones that I made before. I can, let's say, for example, I want that blue one to have a hover color. So I'm going to select this, copy and paste it, And this time, after the 3n plus 1, after the 3n plus 1, I'm going to put a hover. So we've got two pseudos here. We've got this pseudo and that pseudo. And this time I'm going to change the color so that they're darker. I'm going to make it 210 and maybe 225 and 255. And I'm going to save it. And now when I go over the blues, you'll notice that the blues get slightly darker when I hover over them. If I want the pinks to get darker, then I would go to this one, which is pink, and I would change that one also to a hover, the copy I made of it. And that one I would also give a darker color to. Let's make it 200 there. And now the pinks also get darker. So the blue and the pink get darker. So that's how you make that kind of a rollover. So if I wanted to make one for the white ones, then I would just make a T-body TR nth of type just 3n or 3n plus 3, although that would be the same thing. And then I would give it a gray color for the rollover, and that would work. So that's how you do the first child, last child, first of type, last of type, and nth child and nth of type.